Call the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting together for Tuesday, April the 21st. If you would please stand, and we'll have Brother Bo Grace from Waypoint Church to give the opening prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Bo.
Proverbs chapter 22 verse 2 says that when the righteous rule, that the people rejoice. And it says that when the wicked beareth the sword, they mourn. On behalf of all the clergy in Bartlett, I would like to say that I'm rejoicing because I believe we have a lot of righteous people in our leadership here today, and I appreciate that. I want you to know that our church prays for you, and I know the other churches do as well. So thank you for your service. Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, it's such an honor and a privilege just to be here in this group of people that you have chosen to lead our city. God, I know there's so many challenges that each one of them face, and I know that a lot of times it's difficult. I also know that many of them depend on you, and they pray, and they want to lead this city the way that you would have them to. God, it's so indicative of the perspective when we look right behind where they're sitting, and we see that phrase, "In God we trust." God, may that not just be a slogan, but may that be something that we really live by. God, I want to pray for this meeting tonight. I pray that you would guide everything that's said and everything that's done. And above all, that you would be honored, glorified, and praised. Thank you for being with us tonight. I pray that you would guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Pastor Bo, I just wanted to say thank you for all you do in this community, and we appreciate Waypoint Baptist Church and all of its members. And for future meetings, Ms. Penny, would you read them into the record, please?
Family Assistance Commission, May 1st at 6 p.m. Beer Board, May 2nd at 6 p.m. City Beautiful Commission, May 4th at 6:30 p.m. Industrial Development Board, May 4th at 7 p.m.
Thank you. At this time, I do not see any scouts with us tonight, so I'll ask our building code director, our code department director, Mr. Trey Arthur, to join me down front, for it is Building Safety Month. Tonight we have a proclamation that the month of May is Building Safety Month, and Bartlett is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role of our homes, buildings, and infrastructural play, both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. And our confidence is in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through a devotion to vigilant guardians such as building safety, fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, and tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of the buildings. And these guardians are dedicated members of the International Building Code, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, and federal officials who are experts in the building environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in these buildings, where we live, where we learn, where we work, and where we play. And I just want to say, we as a city proclaim the month of May is Building Safety Month, and I'm very thankful that we've got a great building department that does a good job, not only applying the codes on new construction, but involved in with our building maintenance and ensuring that we've got everything that we just read in this proclamation. And so tonight, Trey, I'd like to present you with a proclamation from the mayor's office and say thank you for the job y'all have done and the job you'll continue to do. Is there anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you, Mayor, for all your support, and Thank you, Bartlett.
Thank you, Trey. There's a blue piece of paper right here. This also is another proclamation that the recipient don't know nothing about. It's been very difficult to keep her out of the loop. But the 54th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week is coming up next week. And this is a proclamation where the Office of Professional Municipal Clerks, time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. The Office of Professional Municipal Clerks is the oldest among public servants. The Office of Professional Municipal Clerks provide professional link between the citizens, local governing bodies, and its agencies of government and other levels. The professional clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutral and impartiality, rendering in service to all. The clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government in the community. They continually strive to improve the administration and the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education, programs, seminars, workshops, and other annual meetings in their state, province, and county, and the international professional organizations. So I would like this time that our clerk, Ms. Penny Medlock, come up here and join me, please. Madam Clerk. And Penny, as mayor, we proclaim in the city of Bartlett and recognize the week of April 30th through the May the 6th as 2023. And we just want to say thank you for being the professional you are and all you do to keep Bartlett first. Thank you. That's a good clerk. She just does her job, does it well. Okay, down to the official business of the day is the minutes, approval of the minutes from April the 11th, 2003 from the Mayor, Board, and Aldermen.
Move we approve.
Alderman Jack Young was made the motion and seconded by Mr. Bobby Simmons. Is there any questions, concerns, or discussion on the minutes from April the 11th? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you already set the roll? If you would, go to your device. And the minutes are approved unanimously. There is no consent agenda, no items on the consent agenda. And so we'll move to new business. The purchase of one ABI Force 0230 zero-turn infield groomer, laser grader, and at this time I'd ask Ms. Shannon Chris will come to the podium, please.
You said that very well. I don't know that I need to repeat that.
Yeah, just pause one second. I'm going to let Madam Clerk read the second part of that because I don't think I read it.
Recommend purchasing ABI Force Z23 Zero Infield Groomer and Grader from Lads at a total cost of $43,739. This is a single source purchase. Funds are available in account 311-48311.780.51422.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ms. Criswell.
Okay, this is going to be a game changer, no pun intended, for our ball fields. This machine is going to allow us to much more efficiently and much faster be able to groom our ball fields. We have to drag our ball fields. We do 12 during baseball season every day. And this machine it's a professional machine. They use it professionally all over. And it allows us to do grade the fields, and also it's got a laser grade on there. And what that will do is that allows us to do what a professional that would cost a whole lot of money, okay, you got a picture of Justin up there. A professional that would cost a whole lot of money to do each field, we'll be able to do in-house. And normally you would do that just once a year if you could afford it. Well, this will allow us to do it all the time. The fields will be much smoother, much safer, and also with Mother Nature and our rains, it's lighter machine. Right now we're using a tractor and a drag behind and going around in circles to try to get the fields ready. This doesn't do that just like that, and it's much lighter. So when it's rained, we can get back on the fields and we can get them dry, making the fields playable. So we can have more games in and less rainouts. So it's just going to be a wonderful purchase. We're real excited about it, and I have a demo for you tonight that so you can see exactly what it's going to do.
For field installers and facility managers that need a higher level of care for their infields, the ABI Force Z23SL is fully laser compatible and can be configured with a complete laser system. Laser-graded infields perfectly shed rain, allowing for more games and quicker turn times than ever before. ABI's laser system works in tandem with the mini box blade and Vibraflex options to transform the ABI Force into a proven, compact, zero-turn laser grading machine. Experience game-changing innovation from ABI. Experience the ABI Force.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or questions for your director? That was Jack Young. All right. If there seeing no questions from any of the aldermen, Madam Clerk, would you please go to your device and vote? I enjoyed the demo, Shan. Mm-hmm. Motion passes unanimous. So now we move to Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, would you read item number 2 into the record, please?
Resolution 8-23, resolution to amend the fiscal year 2023 general fund budget to provide funds for a fire department ambulance.
Mr. Dick Phoebus, Director of Finance.
This resolution appropriates funds out of our fund balance, current year fund balance, $283,000 for the purchase of a ambulance in the fire department.
Second.
Been properly motioned and second. Any discussion or questions for the fire department or our director? Hearing none, please go to your device and vote. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3 into the record, please?
Resolution 9-23, resolution to amend the fiscal year 2023 grant fund budget to provide for appropriation of additional FEMA grant funds.
Mr. Dick Phoebus.
The fire department has received notice of a $32,000 FEMA grant for assistance to firefighters grant program. The amount of the federal funding will be $29,090.90, and the fire department will match that $2,909.10 out of their fire department budget. And we need to pass this resolution to appropriate the money.
Before we move forward, I'd like to give our director, fire department director, Mr. Tommy Gately. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Gately?
Thank you, Mayor. The replacement mannequin is going to be a mannequin that replaces one we previously received in early 2000 on grant funding, and this one's going to be what they consider a high-fidelity mannequin, where it has lifelike characteristics where our men and women can train in-house on things such as vascular access, cardiac rhythms, even providing quality on CPR about rate and depth. So it's going to be an upgrade to the training that we're able to provide, and we appreciate the opportunity to apply for grants with the funding y'all support us. So thank you.
Any comment you'd like to make on item number 2 while you're up here? The truck.
No, we've had a rough run last year with some ambulances and some incidents, and just the fleet's getting a little bit older. So a newer piece of equipment, also being able to get it a little bit sooner, is going to be a greater value for us. So we appreciate the support in that as well.
Thank you, Tommy. So, at this time, Chair would entertain a motion.
Move we approve.
Properly motioned by Alderman Young and properly seconded by Alderman Brad King. Is there any discussion for either the finance director or the director? Hearing no questions.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have one correction. The second number on that page should be 90 cents instead of 10 cents. I just want to make that correction.
Okay. Y'all understanding what he's? Okay, good deal. So, been properly motioned. Is there any questions? So hearing no questions, please go to your device and vote, please. Motion is carried unanimous. So, Madam Clerk, will you read item number 4 into the record, please?
Resolution 10-23, a resolution to request unclaimed balance of accounts remitted to State Treasurer under the Unclaimed Property Act.
Mr. Dick Phoebus again.
We submit unclaimed property to the State of Tennessee Treasurer's Office on an annual basis. The two items we're talking about in this resolution happen to be for October 21 and October of 20. It's really checks that have come back to us, been submitted or remitted to certain people or organizations, and they haven't been cashed, so we turn it over to the State Department of Treasury. And after it's been there for so long, we can request the money come back to us, and this resolution does that. The total amount of $7,329.77 that we're asking to be refunded to the city. And of course, if any of these claims are questioned in the future, if somebody else comes forward and say, yes, that's my money, then we'll have it on deposit for them to get paid at that time.
Okay, at this time, Chair would entertain a motion. Motion
Second.
made by Alderman Griffith and seconded by Alderman Jack Young, or Vice Mayor Jack Young. We move to questions. Any questions for Mr. Phoebus from the board? Seeing no questions from the board, Madam Clerk and Alderman, please go to your device and cast your vote. Motion carries unanimous. At this time, I'd ask Madam Clerk to read item number 5 into the record, please.
First reading of Ordinance 23-01, an ordinance to adopt the 2023-2024 General Fund, Street Aid Fund, Solid Waste Fund, General Improvement Fund, Drug Enforcement Fund, DEA Enforcement Fund, Drainage Fund, Parks Improvement Fund, East Citation Fund, Bartlett City School Fund, Utility Fund, Debt Service Fund, and Capital Improvement Fund budgets. The public hearing is to be set for May 23rd, 2023.
Mr. Dick Phoebus, Director of Finance.
Mayor and Board, this resolution appropriates money for different funds within the city for FY24. I would call your attention to several items. The numbers presented, and we've been asked this question before on previous budgets and provided the same answer, which I will answer again tonight. Some of the department's numbers that are on the ordinance differ from what's in the budget summary. And for that, the reason for that is the budget summary nets any revenue that the departments receive during the year to their expenditures. So the expenditures noted in the budget document here is less than what's on the budget ordinance. We appropriate gross amounts on the budget ordinance. The departments affected are community affairs, city court, personnel, police department, public works, and parks and recreation. Of course, they get fees during the year that are netted against expenditures. And the revenues, of course, is the same way. We show net revenues here, but gross revenues in the budget. So at this time, I would ask that you entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 2301 on first reading to appropriate funds for the various departments in the city. And I also note that on page 50 of the budget document handouts on the website is the FY24 proposed budget for the school department. And I understand they met last Thursday. Is that correct?
This Thursday.
Oh, they're meeting. Okay, they're meeting this Thursday. And I've got on good opinion that it will be passed, will be adopted.
So, Dick might add that
that's
we'll
school
catch
department
the school budget up in the second reading, and in between now and our second reading, I'll have Dr. Stevens in to give an explanation for the school board budget, but as just was stated, their board is not even approving that budget until Thursday night of this week. So that meeting is forthcoming and forthwith. So thank you, Dick. I would ask that if there's any motions be made that you
Move we approve
and set the public hearing,
and set the public hearing for whatever date we set the public
May
hearing.
the 23rd.
May the 23rd, I'm sorry.
Motion's been made by Alderman Jack Young. Second. Been properly seconded by Alderman David Reeves. We open the floor up for any questions at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I got a couple questions, if I could, to go on the record. And of course, Mr. Sones knows these are coming because we talked about them earlier. Question particularly on the sewer fee. I had some folks reach out to me, specifically those who have not had sewer extended into their community, very concerned that we're going up on a sewer fee and they don't have sewer. But my understanding is that they are not charged a sewer fee on their water bill at this point. So, and in this instance, what we're looking to do is move the cost associated with sewer maintenance out of the sewer fund and not really move any money out of the general fund to cover that anymore. So really, at the end of the day, their property taxes aren't really being levied against the sewer in this scenario. The only thing that's paying for sewer is coming out of the sewer fund. So really, there's really no impact to that group of people specifically with this. They're not paying for sewer fees anyway, correct?
Yes, that's correct. There'll be no impact whatsoever.
Okay. The other thing specifically around sewer is that obviously some folks got annexed, and the plan of service for sewer, I don't know what the disposition is across the city, but obviously that's still a kind of a sore spot. So I'm really interested kind of long-term, what is the plan surrounding, are we gonna install sewer in those communities? Or are we just gonna let them continue to have their septic tank and that's gonna be it? So I'm really interested in that. This has come up several times, particularly within this conversation. So I'm kind of interested long-term what that looks like. But my understanding is these folks are not paying sewer fees anyway. They're not going up. But what we're doing is we're gonna pay for sewer out of the sewer fee, and we shouldn't be appropriating any money out of general fund, which comes from property taxes primarily, right? So
I'd like to
correct.
rebut just
Yes,
one
sir.
thing, Steve, is for those that city services has been extended to them and they're not using those services, you're paying $1.80 a month is a fee there. These new fees would not apply to you, you would continue at the rate of $1.80 that you've been paying until such time. And I've been told through an engineering department in the previous administration that at such time that they do tie on, we will give them credit for all the months they paid $1.80 toward fees, and when they do decide to put in when they do decide to connect to the city.
yeah.
And anything else you'd like to rebut, Mr. Steve?
Yeah.
So did your questions get addressed?
Yeah, it was perfect. I just want to make sure we did that on the record, because obviously there's folks in the community that are concerned about that. There's a couple things I just want to point out about the sewer. I'm not a big fan of raising fees, but we have structural issues that we got to fix. And so there's a couple things that really kind of stood out to me with this. One is we were taking on debt to pay for road paving, which was significant. And in this particular budget, we're going to move away from issuing bonds for road debt, and we're going to pay as you go, which is going to be a significant savings from an interest viewpoint. I was looking at what happened over 10 years, and it was like $12 million worth of interest we paid on road paving, which is, which is terrible policy really to cover road paving with bonds. But I know we're probably in a situation we had to do that. So that fixes a structural issue. The $10 fixes that on the motor vehicle. On the sewer issue, particularly raising the sewer rates, is going to really open us up on Stage Road, which I think it's a huge unlock for us, and it really helps us in the area of commercial growth. And then obviously the conversation about replacing our lights, and specifically around safety, and particularly power saving as well. And as far as MLGW is concerned, you know, I'll leave that up to you guys, but at the end of the day, I think I want to go with people who have a proven track record. So, and then finally, we're making measurable progress on compensation for our employees and retention. And this is just going to continue to get better. 5% pay increase is a big deal, particularly when a lot of public places or private companies are not doing that this year. Actually, the economy is down, and many of them are not doing pay increases. So this is an investment. And so I think it's very important because the quality of our city is really dictated by how happy of employees we have. So I'm interested in that. I'm going to support it. Even the fees, because I think they make sense. And we're fixing structural issues that are going to have long-term return on investment, which ultimately, hopefully, keeps pressure off our property tax rate, which is what people can't stand to pay. And so hopefully this will fix that, and we will really continue to make progress. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for a great budget and a budget cycle. We have 3 readings. So this can go a full month, and we can fix things in between if anything comes up. Right.
Thank you for your comments, Alderman Reeves. I'd like to say just one other comment, that in this current budget, that is going to generate, if passed, it will generate a reoccurring revenue of about $2.6 million. And one of the concerns that we had, the reason we presented to the board, is trying to hire a third party to analyze all of our streets. So I don't think we have a handle on what $2 to $3 million a year does in achieving total success in our overall paving. So hopefully once we get these, get the survey back or the data back on the street maintenance, and we can then begin to lay out a long-term plan and really how much money is necessary to do that. And this is the first step toward creating reoccurring revenue toward that rather than borrowing money. So until we hear the severity and the rating from 0 to 100 from all of our streets, we've got a good plan going forward rather than we've got a great new plan, and thank you for pointing that out. So with that being said, is there any more discussion?
Mayor, to make it simplified, when we were doing the bonds, we were losing about 40% of every dollar when we went to pay. So if for every dollar we borrowed, we was only getting 60 cents worth of paving. We move ahead with this plan, we're getting 100% of that. So that, when you tell people that, they go, really? And I said, yeah. And the bond was, we're only getting about 60% of that dollar to pay. So this way will be so much more cost effective for us.
And just very good point, Alderman King. And just also like to point out that a lot of those dollars that are spent too are on matching funds with TDAC, where we're only providing 20% on 20 cents on the dollar of those. And just recently, many of you just may just recognize that's the dollars that we did to improve Appling and Yale Road. There was on a 80-20 match with the state, and it taken us 3.5 or 4 years of applying for those grants to get them to come to fruition. So, and many of you've asked why are we doing those streets and why are we doing them now when other streets? It's because it only cost us 20 cents on the dollar to do. With that being said, is there any more, Alderman Quinn?
I do want to thank you all for the time, Steve, that you have taken with me on the budget and everybody else, and having the 3-hour meeting last week was really helpful. We appreciate that, and thank you for answering the questions today. I still like to know when we're going to have the line item financial plan. I understand about not having a bunch of copies floating around, but you know, when we're going to, by the next meeting, will we have some more details?
It will be prior, definitely be prior to the 3rd meeting. It'll be put on the website at that time. Mm-hmm. And we're working we're working to get it for the second reading. But the problem is not really a problem. But there's a lot of expense, obviously, in printing those budgets for everyone. Not that you don't need the information, but we feel that the budget summary plus the work session that we had last week provides all the information that would be in the line item budget. So that's where we stand on that.
And I think that's a repeat what I told you after the budget meeting. He was also instructed if there's any item detail you needed, all you had to do is call him, and we will hand deliver those item summaries that you want.
Right.
They're available for your expense. I mean, they're available at any time you want them, Kevin. All you have to do is pick the phone up and call that department, and they'll print them and give them to you.
Okay, well, I got with Steve to get the answers.
Okay.
But if you want me to go straight, however y'all want it, that's fine.
We want you to have the answers.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to understand the rationale, especially when I was trying to go through all the fees, pages and pages of fees, and see, some are up and some are down. Like I was telling Steve, the yoga and the keto weren't, the fees are the same, but the children's art classes were $50 or $75 more and stuff like that. So I am kind of curious, and he said we're going to meet separate to talk about that. So I can curious about the rationale, how it's affecting the citizens on different degrees, and in different places, Singleton and places like that. But I do appreciate y'all, checking the couch cushions for the change, because there's a lot of work to be done ahead of us, as we all know, and it has to be paid for. And the other question I had was about Section 17, Dick, about the operating reserves, the general fund operating reserves, establishing it 20%.
The what service?
I'm sorry, the general fund operating, I apologize, not speaking closer. General fund operating reserves, establishing them at 20% as a percentage of the next year's operations.
That's by order.
Sorry.
We have set a reserve of $1 million plus 20% of next year's appropriation as a reserve for emergency purchases.
Right, but in the past it was 45, 50%?
No, sir, it's been that way for quite some time.
It has? Okay, so that's what the 30 million was?
A long time, yes.
No,
30 million?
that's a policy that hadn't been updated in a
Okay.
long time.
Okay,
That's our fund balance policy that
Okay.
we instituted a number of years ago.
okay,
Different cities have different policy amounts.
right.
And so we've exceeded that, have been exceeding that, and but we're well beyond that and better positioned. And I think our position of fund balance now more reflects the need for fund balance in current economic conditions. But that's an old fund, that policy of 20% has been around for a long time.
sorry.
Dick, I'm not even sure when
It's
it
been
was.
here since I was here, and
Yeah,
I think
I just haven't seen it listed before.
2011.
Well, I could see why you asked the question where it's placed in there.
Yes, sir.
It would bring up a good question. It's a great question, but that's an old ordinance that we've been abiding by, and we've exceeded for some time, that really reflects where the economic needs
Oh,
in a fund
yeah,
balance is.
I totally agree. I always thought it was really high in the past, it had, and so I'm fine with that. I just wanted to see, it's never been in the ordinance before, that's all. So that's one question I had, sorry.
CAO, Steve? You good? Okay, I thought you was pointing there. Was there any more questions? Hearing no more questions, Madam Clerk, will you please present the roll and go to your device and vote, please? First reading passes unanimously, and Madam Clerk, will you read item number 6 in the record, please?
First reading of ordinance 23-02, an ordinance to levy and assess a tax rate for ad valorem taxes upon real property and personal property in the city of Bartlett for the tax year 2023.
Mr.
As
Phoebus.
Chris read, this resolution adopts a tax rate for next year, and it's $1.73 per hundred of real and personal property. It's the same rate we've had for the last 2 years, I believe.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion, and please making the motion to remember to add the part of setting the public hearing for May the 23rd to your motion.
I move we approve and set a public hearing for April 23rd or May 23rd or
23rd.
whatever date you said.
Been properly motioned. Is it? And it was seconded by Alderman Robert Griffin. And if you would, go to your device.
I've got a question.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mayor.
Questions?
So
Discussion.
this is for the CAO, or for Dick, either one. What is 1 cent getting us from a revenue viewpoint on the property tax rate?
Ask that again, I'm sorry.
What revenue are we getting per cent? I mean, is it 160,000, 150,000?
170.
160,000 per penny.
60,000.
So let me ask you a question, given regarding what he asked earlier about the operating reserves being at 20%. What does state law require in operating reserves in terms of amount?
No, it's just stated in the fund balance. See, it's different for each city.
Is there something that the controller is going to come in?
It's for, you can call it a reserve, but it's for emergency purchases, emergency conditions, pandemic, for example, or any other things that might occur during the year that would require us to maintain that reserve. So it's a city decision, board decision.
Sorry, let me just add, I believe it's pretty low from the state. I could be wrong. I think the comptroller is like, is that right? Is it 10% or something low?
The individual funds are 15. I'm not sure about the actual general fund balance. Dick might be able to elaborate on that.
It's surprisingly lax.
Yeah, it's very low, yeah.
But they do overlook what everybody's doing.
So the only reason why I bring it up is, and I'm not saying this does exist, I know you guys have put the best effort into it, but we just raised some fees. Can we not give a cent back to our people? You know, I mean, given, and I'm going to leave this at your discretion, but you know, one of the things that we do a lot of times, we're pretty much tax hawks when it comes to where we can cut it, we can. And I'm asking, do we have any wiggle room to give a cent or two back to our people, since we're raising fees and we're kind of moving things around structurally? So something to think about. I'm going to vote for this, but I want you to look at that between now and the next meeting and see if we can work something up, okay? That's all I'm looking for.
Duly noted, and as you'll notice that some of our sister cities our size have raised their property taxes in lieu of, we've given 4% raises the past year in lieu of the 20+% inflation. Yeah. And I'm just glad that we presented a budget that with no property tax increase, and a very good point, and duly noted, and we'll have discussion on that.
Let's look at it, let's think through it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please go to your device and vote on item number 6. Motion carries unanimously. And so we'll move to, thank you, Mr. Phoebus. You got a comment?
Gentlemen, if any of you have questions in regard to the budget between now and the next reading, please direct those to my office, and we'll be glad to provide answers for you.
Thank you. This time we move to open discussion. It's open to the board first, then the directors. Does any board members have anything they wish to say? Seeing none of the aldermen have anything to say, I think we've got a couple of directors. Mr. John Horn, Director of Engineering, has got some updated railroad information, I think.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Board. As you're aware, we've had a number of railroad closures occurring in our city with CSX. We've got another one that'll begin, what we're being told, Thursday, the 5-point intersection that we all refer to at Broadway and Centralia and Memphis, Arlington. That's going to be shut down Thursday and hopefully reopened Friday. And so just be aware of that, as all the times with construction schedules, don't hold your breath. And so hopefully they'll be reopened on Friday. And we're hoping this is the last one. We were assuming we were told this was going to be a ways off, and they changed their mind today. And so we've been trying to communicate better with CSX, but it is what it is. And so, but if anything else changes, we'll get that out on social media and update everybody.
So, a very good point that you made, Director, is that I just wish we could have better communications with CSX, and they tell us one thing, and here again, we've updated our records, and we drive by to see signs up is the only reason that we called and try to update that information. So if CX Railroad, if you're listening, we sure would appreciate a little better communication when you're working through our town.
Yeah.
Last week, St. Elmo was supposed to have been shut down on a Thursday. I went out there on a Wednesday, and the sign was up saying it was shut down on Thursday. Meanwhile, it was already shut down. So I had a conversation with all the men. They had zero traffic control up, told them that they had not notified us or any of the city's emergency, fire, or police, and told them that we expected to be communicated with better. But we'll see how that goes. We're trying.
Yes, so the point we're trying to say is the city's doing its due diligence to try to get what information we get from them out in a timely manner so that the citizens would know. Alderman King.
John, that five-way, my father-in-law used to tell me that was the hub of the whole universe right there. So they're shutting down the whole hub of the universe to do that. But I've heard that my whole life out here.
There's a thriving metropolis there called Ellendale. So, Alderman Young,
I was just going to add, how I found about five-way some time ago was I stopped and talked to the crews, and they already had their work scheduled. But that was when they'd already told the city that they weren't going to be doing five-way. But the work crew was like, yeah, we got it on here, so.
Well, and Mayor, to your point, we've talked about this before. I've got a construction inspector assigned to that to go by there and communicate with them on a daily basis. So we're going to be watching it a whole lot closer.
While I have the director here too, we've had numerous comments about C-Spire and other utility companies coming into our town. We developed a new policy so that we can make them communicate with us a little bit better too. So we was aware of that out in Davies, and so we was able to get a lot of the resolve there. One would think that you wouldn't start construction on something till you had all the materials on hand before you did it. And that was the case we found out there, but we resolved that fairly quickly. And forthcoming, these other projects, hopefully you'll see better communication from the vendor to the city and the city to the constituency out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John. And Miss Debbie Jeleno.
Good evening. Well, we have some great events coming up this weekend. Bartlett City Beautiful will be hosting their plant sale. This is one of their big fundraisers for the year. This committee comes out and keeps Bartlett beautiful. They do the plantings at the flag posts and different things like that, and they are not city funded. So please come out, support them so they can put that money back into keeping Bartlett a beautiful place to live. And also next Thursday on May the 4th, we have National Day of Prayer, and this event is at 12 noon. And so this year we're moving it to the A. Keith McDonald Pavilion at W.J. Freeman Park. We had to do that last year, last minute, because of the weather, and we decided it works so there, and it's a beautiful venue to have it there, that we're going to keep doing it there from now on. So we hope to see you this weekend at the plant sale, which is in front of, right there by Top's Barbecue under the tent, and then next Thursday, National Day of Prayer at 12 noon. And all this is on our social media site, and we will keep up with engineering, and if we get anything from the railroads about updates and stuff, we'll try our best to keep that updated as we see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jono. And you know, during the budget, we had talked about a PSAP officer, and we had mentioned about the new building, that the dispatch building that we're going to be, and I'm very, very pleased to welcome our police chief to come up here to talk about some exciting news coming up in that.
For the last couple of years, we have been working with Shelby County 911 Board to develop, come up with funding, and to put into play a new Bartlett Communications Center that's going to be placed on our property at 3730 Appling Road. We're excited and want to cordially invite you to come down to our groundbreaking on May 16th at 8:30 a.m. to kick off that project. We're really excited to see our police communications grow. And that's also during Police Week, and so we'll be remembering those who give their life for our communities that week. And so it'll be a great week to be able to not only remember our police officers and law enforcement and first responders, but to also to break the ground to our new Bartlett Communication Center. And I'm very excited to have that happen. So thank you.
Chief, while you're at the microphone, just for the folks listening around them, could you kind of explain that if anything that has lights on it and it shows up your house, it shows up because of our dispatchers?
Yes, sir. You know, they're the heartbeat of police and fire. Nothing that we do on our radios, whether we go to your address or stop a vehicle or go to a fire or go to an EMS call, all funnels through our police communication center. Our dispatchers work 24/7, looking at 6 screens at a time, answering over 5,000 calls per dispatcher per year to make sure that our community's safe. And so we're so excited to be able to give them a new building.
I know it was last week was dispatchers, was it last week?
Yes.
Dispatchers Week, and so I want to say kudos for them and the good job that they do. And dispatchers, you are appreciated, and we thank you for the job you do. And Chief, we thank you for the job you do, and we're excited to be at this groundbreaking.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
At this time,
I'm sorry, can I say something, Chief, real quick? I just want to give y'all kudos for all the good work today with the car break-ins.
Oh, thank you.
Church.
Appreciate it. We were able to take some suspects into custody for some break-ins this afternoon for car break-ins without incident.
In just minutes.
Like
just minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on stage, and I'm sitting there, and some people went flying by me, and I was like, oh, wish there was a BPD around. And all of a sudden, some unmarked vehicles I won't describe to you turned on blue lights and took off after them. So it was like, wow, I never would have thought those vehicles were unmarked vehicles. But I got word from the church, and they were really appreciative on the thing y'all did. Thank you.
Put 5 into custody, and then all that was dispatch. Dispatch helped us to communicate, and all the police officers were able to get in the area, and good job today. So thank you, Alderman. Appreciate it.
those, just drill there for just a minute. Unmarked cars do have a purpose in law enforcement.
Absolutely.
And just while the taxpayers are listening, you might want to say where a lot of those unmarked cars come from, Chief?
So, I don't really understand, but.
Seized cars?
Oh, yeah, so, we do have unmarked cars that are from our impound lot that we use to put for surveillance and to put in all-purpose vehicles to be able to get in the area when we need to. We also have some unmarked cars that are fully, have blue lights and no doubt who is behind you. And so it all kind of works to make sure that we get the job done. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
Can I ask him another question to make him really uncomfortable?
Yes, sir.
You're good.
Sure. I'm just kidding.
So is any other directors like to come forward? Seeing none come forward, if a citizen has completed the open discussion citizens forum prior to the start of the meeting, they may come forward, state their name and address for the record, please, and you will have up to 3 minutes, at which a time a buzzer will sound, and you must sit down. So, seeing... Yes,
Nicole
ma'am.
Travis.
Hello. Nicole Travis, 3141 Hill Lake Drive, Bartlett, Tennessee, 38135. I got a two-pronged thing here. Hopefully I can squeeze it in the 3 minutes. Election season, I helped plant some yard signs for some of the candidates. And in my little travels, there are a remarkably astounding number of homes that weren't properly marked. So it kind of ties into what Chief was just talking about with the quick response time and how sometimes seconds, moments matter. Kind of got me to thinking about perhaps pitching a fundraiser idea to, Ms. Debbie suggested maybe Alderman Griffin with the City Beautiful, but doing just like a nominal amount and a fundraiser to actually go out and mark, say, the driveways and or the mailboxes, $5-10, whatever. So love, hate the idea. It's out there, so if you don't want it, maybe somebody else, you can lob it to somebody else. But I figure anytime you can get people to voluntarily jump in and kind of do what they ought to be doing anyway, it can't be a bad thing. So there's that. And the second thing was just to give you guys a big way to go. I mean, it has really been impressive to me to watch the metamorphosis, and I'm not taking a shot at any of the ways that things were done before, but the active engagement that you guys are kind of eliciting out of people that are really watching and that just really want to see the city flourish and prosper. I mean, you guys used the term due diligence earlier, and I'm a fan of that term. You guys are really getting out there and like networking with people and being in the community. And for those of us that are watching, it really does. I mean, you really are working an impact there. And I just think that it's probably underappreciated. I know sometimes, you get 1 or 2 likes on a social media post, but for those of us that are teetering on figuring out how to be engaged, you guys are providing us forums, and so it's much appreciated, and I just want to throw that out there for all you guys.
Thank you. I'd just make one comment that y'all may want to talk to Boy Scouts, because a lot of Boy Scouts do fundraisers going around and spray painting addresses on the curb. Is anyone else like to come forward? Seeing no other citizen coming forward, this chair would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Been properly motioned and second. Meeting adjourned.